presentation topic as well as your individual write-up also. Okay, so you can also choose your write-up for innovative write-up, your topic, but again it should be very much related to something to environment. Okay, so I will
Yes,
put
sir.
that in the drive. Okay, so you decide which one you want to take. The only thing is that some of the groups may have similar topics, but I think the similar topics limit to two to three maximum. Okay, so two to three groups can have similar topics. Okay, not
Yes,
more
sir.
than that.
Okay,
Not
sir.
more than that. Okay. Just a moment. Okay, so almost we have like 97 students in this after this changes of from offline to online mode. So roughly nearly 100. So I would say I'm expecting groups in between 18 to 20 groups. Okay, so should be fine. Okay, so since we do not have the attendance in SAP portal, so what I will do, so I will take the quiz part as your attendance. So if you attend the quiz, so that would be considered as your attendance for today only. Okay. Otherwise, from next class, I will take a physical attendance or I will run this add-on, and partly also the quiz part will be there. And maybe sometimes I will give attendance as an assignment. Okay, so you have to uh, complete that assignments in 5 minutes. So then I will see. Okay, Chetan is already gone. So I know some of you have. So that's fine. So the first few classes it's okay with me. But again, I mean, but the quiz, don't miss the quiz. The quiz is the important part. So as I told you before that to some extent quiz will be the deciding factor because that's a kind of very much similar to an exam. So whatever performance will be there from your side, so accordingly you will be graded. Okay. In the innovative and presentation, so those are more like the at least the presentation is a group activity. Some of the marks would be similar for the group members. For example, the presentation itself and the content of the presentation, but the differentiation would be in the presentation part. Okay. Individual write-up, again, since it's an individual innovative write-up, so don't expect full marks for that. But again, if some of the write-ups are very much original and very innovative ones, so maybe in that case I may give you uh, more marks, very close to 20 marks, but don't expect full marks there. So the marks should be in the range of like 80 to 90, okay, depending on the writer. So that's why I'm providing you the topics at the beginning so that you will have enough time. And yeah, so and more or less the quiz and the innovative write-up would be more or less the deciding factor rather than the presentation part. Okay? Because presentation part would be more or less for few students, not for all students. Again, in a way that would be also deciding factor from group of students. Okay, so whose presentation, the content and the material would be good, presentation is good, so they will get definitely good marks. Okay, so so overall, if I want to say everything is important, Okay? So do not miss quiz, do not miss the deadline for the presentation, and prepare the presentation in a good way. And finally, do not miss the write-up or submission of your innovative write-up. Okay. I will provide you the exact date for the. Yes. Any question?
So I was just going to ask you about those dates for the write-up and presentation part.
Yeah.
Deadlines for this too.
The deadlines. Yeah. Deadlines. I will roughly expect that since you have an some exam uh, beginning of June. Is it according to your academic calendar?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
sir. End semester.
End semester.
Second week of or somewhere around. So expect that it should be end of May. Okay, so the deadline would be end of May or just 1 week before the end of May, because I have to check all the copies and I have to send all these marks before end sem exam. So the
Yes.
sooner you submit, the sooner you submit. So I'll get more time to read those things. So again, the evaluation would be in a better side. Okay. So at the end, if you submit again, it would be difficult to read those things at a time for all the students. So again, that will affect. Okay. So better you have enough times. Although I am giving you 2 3 months, almost 2.5 months, but 1.5 month, take that and submit it. That would be easier for me. So I'll provide you the link also very soon in a couple of weeks. Okay, clear?
Yeah, sir.
Okay. And some of the students are joining for the first time because due to this offline online changes. So if you have doubt, you can give me a message about the evaluation process. So or you can talk to your friends. So you have friends in this section, so you just talk to them so they know about what is the evaluation process. And if not, then I'll just put a slide about the evaluation process in the drive. Okay, it's very simple. Quiz portion is 60% or 60 marks. Okay, even if you appear for 100 marks quiz, so it will be scaled down to 60. Then 20 marks for the presentation, and that is a group activity, and 20 marks for the innovative write-up. Okay. But anyway, I'll put that in the drive exactly, and also I will give you the format for the write-up also. So that is a general format. You may change that format. Okay. Not every topic will have the same kind of subtopic. Okay. So you choose your subtopic, and based on that, you write your innovative write-up. Okay. Clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay. Now. Okay, all of you can see the presentation.
Yes, sir. We can see it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Remember, according to our evaluation process, so we will have a quiz right after this lecture. Okay. So the content of the quiz would be whatever I will cover in this 1 hour, or let's say 45 minutes to 1 hour. Okay. So then I will share this slide with you for the preparation, or if you have any doubts, we can go for a discussion. Okay. Then after half an hour, let's say my lecture would be 45 minutes to 1 hour, then I will give you half an hour break. Okay, for reading those materials, and finally I will release the quiz link around 5:30. Okay, so at 5:30 you will get this link in your Google page, so classroom page. Okay, and this quiz is 10 multiple choice questions, 1 marks each, and you'll get 20 minutes, exactly 20 minutes. Okay, so exactly at 5:50 the form will automatically closes. Okay, so a sincere request to you, so please try to submit your quiz before 5:50. Okay, so you will not get another chance. We don't know, because since we have to do quizzes almost for every classes, and at the end we have to go for the presentation, we may not get any defaulter classes. Okay, 1 or 2 quiz, that's fine. Okay, if you miss 1 or 2 quiz, that is acceptable, but don't go beyond that. Okay? So one may have some medical condition or any other issues, so that is acceptable, but do not miss any quizzes beyond 2. So if you miss quizzes beyond 2, then that will affect your mark. Okay, even if I scale down to 60, okay, even if you appear for 8, and or let's say you appear for 8, that is okay, but anything below 8, okay, 7, 6 quizzes, then that is going to affect your marks. So please attend all the quizzes. Okay. The quizzes will be very simple. Most of the 70 to 80% questions will be based on the topic that I will cover today, directly from the slides sometimes. But some of the questions will be general questions, general questions based on environmental science. Clear? You'll get to know. You'll get to know today if you see the quiz. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So wherever it's difficult for you to just ask me, although there are nothing to, I mean, from fundamental point of view, there are few topics here which not really understandable, but most of the things are datas. Okay, just to know about the datas, remember those datas, so that would be part of quiz. Again, I will not again cover the whole thing, so I will discuss which one is important. We will proceed with that. Okay. Now, so what is environment? Okay. So if you want to define, so it has two parts. One is the physical conditions. So that is basically your air, water, land. Okay. So that is a physical form of what is surrounded to us. The second is we define it as social and cultural conditions. So that is the social and cultural conditions are such as the ethics, aesthetics, economics. Okay, so that basically depends on the individual behavior. Okay, but we are more towards the physical condition. So the nature has already given to us in form of air, water, okay, and land, and the behavior of human being, somehow it's affecting surrounding to us. That is the physical part of your environment. So we will be discussing more about the interconnection between the human behavior, so how we are affecting this. There are also some of the natural phenomena also that affects the environment, but those natural phenomena are like they happen also, but in 1,000 years, uh, like the ice age. Okay, so those things, okay, those things they do happen. So this is the natural phenomena, but it takes many ages, many decades. Okay, but at the same time, since the human is part of this earth, and their behavior, their daily behavior also affecting the physical conditions also. So we'll be more discussing about that now. If you want to discuss what is environmental science, why we are studying, so this is that branch of science. It is a mixture of all branches. So, for example, you have physics here, you have chemistry here, you are also dealing with material science, mathematics will be also part of this environmental science. You have medical science, public health. So, all these are the part of environmental science. So, this is the reason why this topic is very common for not only for environmental scientists or chemists, so it is also very much important for other branch of sciences or the students studying the other branches, for example, for also for the engineering people as well as the people in management, also physics, maths. So it is pretty much important for all to learn about environmental science because it is covers everything. Okay, and in general, one should know what is the connection between its own behavior or a behavior from a group of people or nation or if you say the world towards, and what is the link between their day-to-day behavior and how it's affecting the environment, or so to say that how it's affecting the air or the water, which is part of this physical conditions, you can say, of environment. Okay. So this environmental science, basically what we'll be discussing about the sources, the reaction, the transport phenomena, so the effect and fate of the chemical reaction species in the air, water, soil, as well as the human activity. So these will be the basic discussion of this environmental science. Okay. In general, so I'm not going into the details. So what are the different parts or segments of environment? So in general, you can divide those things in different segments like atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere. Then all combined gives you the ecosphere, and overall, if you consider the that is called the biosphere, where the living things uh, are there. Okay, so anything happens to any part of this segment, so that indirectly or directly affect the living things. So I'm not going into the details. So what is important here that I will discuss. Okay, so so there are some data about the atmosphere. So just this is for your reading. So some data are there. So just read it. What is important here in the atmosphere, I'll be discussing. Okay. So one thing is that if you want to divide the atmosphere part of environment, okay, so you can define in different segments. Okay, troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, and the thermosphere. Okay, and the boundary or the or the changes of different segments, okay, that happens depending on the density and the temperature factor. Okay, and the physical, there is no physical boundary, there is a invisible boundary between different segments. So depending on the density of the gases, so the boundary between troposphere and the stratosphere is known as tropopause. Between stratosphere and mesosphere is known as stratopause, and between mesosphere and thermosphere is known as mesopause, and between the thermosphere and the rest of the atmosphere and the boundary is known as thermopause. Okay. And in terms of data, if you want to see, so from Earth, we consider that from 7 to 16 kilometers range is basically the troposphere. Okay. Then up to 50 kilometer, that is stratosphere. Up to 80 kilometer, it is the mesosphere, and up to 500 kilometers, that is your thermosphere. Now, one of the important phenomena, okay, in this segment is the temperature factor. Okay. So, if you see the temperature behavior, okay, so this is the graph which represents the height in terms of kilometers. Okay, so that we say altitude, and the x-axis represents the temperature factor. Okay. Now, if you go up, normally the general behavior. Okay, so if you go up, so the temperature decreases. So what is the reason for that? Anyone? Come on, from school you should know.
Sir, please repeat the question.
The question is when we go up. Okay, so when we go from up from Earth. Okay, so when we change or uh, in terms of altitude, if you are going up, so the temperature decreases. Okay, so what is the reason for that?
So because the land gets heated at first, so as we go far from the land, the heat gets decay.
Why?
सर बेसिक ग्रीन हाउस इफेक्ट सर ओजोन लेयर के ऊपर अगर चले गए तो तब हीट तो बाहर नहीं निकलेगा ना.
Okay, okay. So partly you're right. You can say that. So if I take this behavior, okay, so that means the more you go up, the temperature will decrease. But if you see the temperature axis or the temperature behavior, so at the beginning in troposphere region it is decreasing, then it is increasing the temperature. Okay, then again it is decreasing, then it is increasing. So why? I agree. I take your argument. Okay, so it is the greenhouse gas effect, and beyond ozone, so the temperature decreases. So, but why? And why there is not a steady phenomena like when you go up, the temperature should decrease. The temperature should behave in a decreasing manner when you change the altitude.
Sir, the pressure decreases,
Okay, so what happens then?
and then the sir air molecule spread further and try to cool.
Okay, so if I take that theory, then what will happen? So it should behave consistently. That means it should decrease. So the behavior should be a straight line, not exactly straight line, but should be yeah, straight line, but consistently decreasing. But that is not happening. It is rather it is showing a curved line.
Sir, the density of the molecules present.
Yes, I take your theory, density, whatever the mass. Okay, so this is general that troposphere has the most masses from the atmosphere. So if you see the density component or the density of the gases is more in troposphere. So the more you go up, so the density would be less. So I take this theory. So from this theory, we know that if we go up, so the temperature will decrease. Okay, because at the bottom, so whatever light is coming from the sun or the radiation, what is coming from the earth, so that will be trapped by your the gases which is mostly dense in the troposphere. So that's why the temperature is more. So when you go up, so it will be more less dense. So again, that's why the temperature will decrease. But that is not how we are describing. Okay, so the temperature behavior is more like a curvy. So first it's decreasing, then in stratosphere it's increasing, then again mesosphere it's decreasing, then again thermosphere it's increasing. Yes.
Sir, the ozone layer is present in the stratosphere, so at that level, O2 gets converted into O3. So due to that reaction, maybe the temperature is higher in stratosphere.
Due to that reaction. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you are coming to the point. Okay. So what happens first? Let's see in the troposphere. Okay. So we know that troposphere is the most dense part of the atmosphere. So most of the gases are there. Okay. In addition to the gases, you are also the since you have hydrosphere, so you have also water vapors. Okay. So whatever the sunlight is coming, so they are mostly trapped by these gases. So and finally they radiate, so the temperature is dissipated in this troposphere region. So the region just below sorry just above the earth, okay, so it's more the temperature is more. Okay, now when we go up with the altitude it decreases because the density is become less and less, and so that's why the temperature decreases. In terms of if I want to show you the number, okay, so so in the troposphere, the ranges. So now it decreases from 15 to minus 56 degree. Okay. But what happens in stratosphere? Okay. So in stratosphere, so that stratosphere is mostly dense by the O3 molecules, the ozone layer. Okay. So what happens here? Ozone is basically traps the sunlight. So in presence of sunlight, okay, so it's decomposed to oxygen and the nascent oxygen. So during that chemical reaction, okay, so it radiates also because it absorbs the light and finally it radiates. So this due to this radiation phenomena, okay, so the temperature increases. Okay, so that's why in the stratosphere, if you see, okay, so at the tropopause, okay, where the temperature inversion happens. So initially it decreases, then from tropopause onwards, the temperature starts to increase. And it increases up to minus 2 degrees centigrade. Although it is below 0 degree, but it increases from minus 56 to minus 2 degree. Okay. So the reason is your O3. Okay. So basically what happens in this region, so it traps the ultraviolet light. Okay. So in presence of ultraviolet light, O3 decomposes to O2 and oxygen. So this also acts as a blanket to filter out all the toxic rays. So the UV rays, when finally when the sun rays falls on Earth, so the UV rays are filtered out by this O3. Okay, And in stratosphere, that's why the temperature increases from minus 56 to minus 2. Now, what happens in mesosphere? It starts to decrease. Hello? Some noise is coming, students? Okay, no. So in stratosphere, what is happening? Okay, so in mesosphere, so stratosphere is the temperature decrease due to this decomposition phenomena of O3. Now in mesosphere, what happens? The density of O3 now it decreases. Okay, so since you do not have any more O3 or whatever O3 you have, it's very less, or the density of layer is very less. So the decomposition phenomena or the absorption of these rays doesn't happen as it does in the stratosphere. So since that phenomena is not there, so it just follows the general trend. So the atmosphere becomes less dense and less thicker and thicker. So finally, the temperature will again starts to decrease. So again, it's decreased from minus 2 to minus 92. Okay. Now, what happens above mesosphere? So in thermosphere, the temperature again invert. Okay, or there is an inversion of temperature. So from minus 92 to 1200 degrees centigrade. So why that happens? So the answer is already written here. Okay, not directly but indirectly. Anyone?
Sir, the incoming energy,
The incoming?
sun's energy,
Yes.
so the heat is coming in direct contact with the surface.
So if you see the species, chemical species, so what is the space, chemical species available in thermosphere? All are
So,
ions.
Sir, is this because ionization happens at that point of temperature?
Exactly. Yes.
thunder happens.
So most of the components here is in ionized form. So they are very active components. So there is a collision between all these active components. There are also absorption phenomena is happening in this. So due to that, the radiation will be more. Okay. So once the radiation is more, then the temperature is slowly increasing. Okay. And from that onwards, the definitely the temperature will increase up to the sun. Okay. So beyond thermosphere, okay, so the temperature starts to increase. So this is the typical behavior of different segments of your atmosphere. So in troposphere at the beginning, it just follows the general trend because with the altitude, your pressure decreases. Pressure decreases means you have less dense or the mass of atmosphere. So that's why the temperature decreases. So it decreases up to minus 56. Then in stratosphere, due to the decomposition phenomena or trapping of UV lights or other toxic rays, or in general rays, you can say that O3 is being converted to O2 and nascent oxygen. And during that process, it absorbed by the O3 and finally they radiate back. Okay. So when they radiate back, the temperature increases. So that's why temperature increases from minus 56 to 2. In mesosphere, just the process what is happening in the stratosphere that is not happening because of the absence of O3. So there is no more O3 in the mesosphere, or whatever it has, it has a very less or very thin layer of O3 is there. The main component or the main chemical species, if you see in the mesosphere, is oxygen and nitrogen oxide. Okay. Now, since that phenomena is not happening, so again the temperature will follow the general trend. So then the atmosphere become more less and less dense. So the temperature decreases. So that decreases up to minus 92. But when you are above the mesosphere or above that boundary line, that is mesopause, then the thermosphere region starts. So here most of the gases they are in ionized form, and in ionized form they have high kinetic energy, they collide with each other, they also absorb the sun rays, and finally they radiate. So due to this radiation phenomena, the temperature increases, and the temperature increases up to 1200. And if you more go close towards the sun, again the temperature will start to increase. So this is the general phenomena of temperature of atmosphere in different segments. Okay. Now it has a term. Okay. So this change of temperature, okay, or the typical behavior, okay, or in general you can give a term. So we call it as lapse rate. Okay. So so how to define this lapse rate? The lapse rate is defined as the rate of change of temperature with height or altitude of the atmospheric variables. So variables are different gaseous components or the masses of gases in different segments. Okay. So so in some cases it is decreasing, in some cases the temperature is increasing with the height. Okay. So we term it as positive lapse rate, negative lapse rate. So if the temperature is decreasing, so that is negative lapse rate. If the temperature is increasing, that is positive lapse rate. Clear, students?
Yes.
Okay. So this is already written in this slides. So I will share it with you for your reference for the quiz component, because most of the question will be based on this portion. Okay. Now, yeah. So this slide is basically describing why the in the stratosphere region why the temperature is increasing from -56 to 2. So it is showing the chemical reaction. So O3 is being converted to oxygen and nascent oxygen, and during that process, so it absorbs the energy and radiates back. And in the next, in the mesosphere, since there is no more or less number of or less dense of ozone is there, so that's why that phenomena is not happening. So that's why the temperature again starts to decrease. So it goes up to -92, and beyond that, that in the thermosphere region, since most of the components are in the ionized form, so highly reactive materials, they will collide with each other, and also at the same time they will absorb the rays from the sunlight and being excited to higher levels, and during the excitation process they radiates. Okay, so the radiation form is in the heat form, so that's why the temperature increases. Okay, so the next is the earth radiation balance. Okay. Normally what happens, okay, so if you see whatever sunlight, so if we take it in terms of 100%, okay, so out of 100%, 50% of this sunlight, okay, is absorbed by the earth. Okay, now 20% of that will be absorbed by the atmosphere, so that is the gases, or you can say that the greenhouse gas effect, what you say. So that is one of the reason also for the increase of temperature. More number of greenhouse gases, so that contributes the temperature increase of temperature. So that is why we have this global climate change or the increase of temperature of Earth. So we have a big discussion going on every year. Okay, and the rest of the 30% or in the range of 30 to 33% is reflected back. Some of them by the atmosphere, and also some of them by the Earth's surface also. Okay, so this reflection or reflected back phenomena is known as the albedo effect. Okay, so it is the albedo effect. If you want to define it, is the Earth capacity that how much rays or sunlight it can gives back to the atmosphere. So typical range is in the range of 30 to 34, 35%, depending on the Earth's surface. Because if you want to rate, okay, so if you want to give a number for albedo effect, so this is a typically in between 0 to 1. Okay, so 0 means it is more a dark surface, so most of the light will be absorbed by that surface. One means it is more towards white, so it is more reflective in nature. So most of the glaciers, okay, so they are the albedo effect in the range of like zero point 0.9 to 1, because so most of the rays is reflected back from the those surfaces. So depending on the surfaces, the albedo effect also happens. Okay, now the radiation phenomena, okay, or the increase of temperature of our atmosphere, it depends on this also albedo effect. So if the albedo effect is more towards the zero, okay, that means we are creating some surfaces which are more absorbing in nature. So due to that, what happens? So it radiates back to the atmosphere. So once it absorbs, obviously that surface at some point will radiate back. So that is the general black body phenomena. So when it radiates back, so obviously the the temperature of the level above the earth will have more temperature. So that is also one of the main reason why the temperature increases, or the temperature is more in the ground level. Okay, ground level means the level just above the earth. Okay, and if you go more, the temperature decreases. Okay, so our aim is to create some surfaces or protect those surfaces which will have more albedo effect. Okay, or the albedo effect in the range of like in the range of 1, so that most of the light will be reflected back from the surface itself without being trapped inside the atmosphere, which will be which is the reason for the increase of temperature. Now, so now the discussion comes. So what are the things affects the albedo effect? Okay, now, the factors which affects the albedo. So, increasing agricultural and industrial outputs can upset the Earth radiation balance by changing the albedo. Deforestation and consequent soil erosion increases the albedo. Okay, so how deforestation is related? Okay, because if you compare the green surface, so forestation means you have the earth is protected by the green layer or the trees. Okay, so when the sunlight comes, so the reflection capability of this green surface is more in comparison to a normal completely uh, uh, open land, okay, or land having no trees. Okay, so that's why the deforestation leads to increase in temperature. Okay, or you can say that the albedo effect is more towards zero, or the surface or the deforestation leads to those surface which has the capability of absorbing the rays from the light and radiates back to the atmosphere, which increases the temperature. So some of the human activities, because the deforestation, it is not a natural phenomenon. Okay, it does happen in some cases, like in flood and all these things, but those are very rare. Okay, and these are nowadays controlled. But most of the deforestation is happening is due to the human activities. So it is the human, it is the human which basically affects the Earth radiation balance, and which ultimately increases or contribute to the increase of temperature. So that's why we are having all this global discussion about the ice melting phenomena, or you can say the leakage in the ozone layer. Okay, and the due to those global phenomena, also there is an melting of glaciers in Iceland or in the Arctic region. Okay, so these are the global phenomena which is happening in a very slow rate. Okay, but the situation or the data what is showing nowadays, it's very alarming. So if we do not act upon it, so maybe the future generations, so the future generation what we are talking about is like maybe 100 to 100 years. So due to this, so there will be no living beings in the earth. So there is a very there are different different organizations is trying the in international level and also national level. Many of the debates are going on how to to change the human behavior, or what we can do for the environment, or what are the activities one can do to reduce all this greenhouse gases effect so that we can maintain the temperature of the earth in a balanced manner. Okay, so that we can make our earth to be more habitable for the future generations. Okay. So in this regard, there are many things that are happening. So for example, the, if you see the contribution from the natural consumption of petroleum products, which contributes to the to the pollution, and which again leads to the increase of temperature. So we are moving towards the more EV vehicles. Okay, so in future, in 5-10 years, so you'll see hardly any vehicle with natural petroleum, or the motor based on natural petroleum. So it's going in a very fast rate at the moment. So let's hope that everything will be fine in that respect, because nobody really doesn't really realize those type of effects unless and until it's been discussed in different forum. So this is also one of the reason why this topic is here in this BTech program. Okay, so to give you an idea about what is an environment, so what are the things that are being uh, or what are the, due to which things it is affecting our environment, in which extent. Okay, and what are the remedies. So during this process we'll be discussing about mainly the air pollutions, what are the factors affecting the air pollutions, and what are the remedies we have. Okay, so similarly we'll be discussing the water pollution part. Again, what are the precautions, or what are the treatment methods for those. And finally, the most important part is your the green chemistry. Okay. So that is the processes we will do like that, that we don't have to bother about the output, because most of the time it is the output which affects our environment. So if we make our process so green in the sense that the end product, or whatever the product we are getting at the end for any processes, should be environmental friendly. So that's why we are moving from natural petroleum towards EV vehicles of more fuel cells technology. So in future you will see uh, vehicles based on or one of the alternative energy sources would be the fuel cells, because the end product, the output of a fuel cells is simple water. Okay, so even the batteries is not an environmental friendly in nature, although more environmental friendly if you compare to petroleum products. But at the end, to process those materials, like for example, nowadays the lithium batteries are the more common batteries we are using. But in order to process those lithium batteries, okay, so the chemical process we are doing, so in that way we are producing more carbon. So so even the battery technology, we say that it is more environmental friendly, but if you see the manufacturing processes in order to get that expensive lithium materials, so we are going through different processes, which is also producing the carbon dioxide, or the carbon footprint on that case is also happening. So we have to develop, we have to think some technology which will be more green in terms of the end product, or whatever the end product will be there. So it should be environmental friendly. Okay. Or during that process, we should not produce any type of waste, or even if we are producing waste, so that should be being treated as a raw material for some other products which we can create out of that. So at the end, there should be zero emission or zero waste for any processes. So that is what our green process is about. So we'll be discussing different principles when we'll be discussing the green chemistry part. Okay. So for today, the topic would be up to here. So I will share this slide right away in your drive, also in your WhatsApp group for your reference. So I'll give you half an hour from here, and exactly at 5:30, you'll get a link for your quiz. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Any doubts? Whatever
Okay,
we
can we
discussed till
stay in
now,
the meeting or we have to leave the meeting?
you can leave the meeting, no problem. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Why you share the
So
Google
you have
With the exam, sorry, quiz link.
In the
Google
classroom
Class.
page.
Okay, sir. So
Google
at
Classroom.
exam is 5:30.
Exactly 5:30.
Sir,
And you'll get exactly 20 minutes for that, and you have to submit it before 5:50.
Okay,
Okay.
sir. Done.
And I'm sharing this. First, I will put that in the drive. So just confirm me whether you can see that or not.
Yes.
okay, sir.
Just a moment.
Sir, excuse me.
Yes, bro.
Sir, I am not in the Google Classroom.
Why?
Sir, I and some few students have joined, have converted from offline to online.
Yeah. But you should have received a mail from me because I send an email to all. Check your spam mails also.
अनिल ग्लू क्लासरूम चेक मेल चेक कर हमको आ गया.
अच्छा.
Okay. सबको गया है. Those newly students, those who are added later, also I have given them the link. Okay. Could you please confirm? Can you see this PDF in your drive?
No, sir.
Not yet. Just refresh it.
No, sir. No, sir.
Not yet, sir.
No? Okay. I'm also putting that
WhatsApp group.
in WhatsApp group.
Okay, sir.
Or maybe I can send an email. That I can do also. Okay, I can send you all an email from classroom itself. Maybe I can give a link in the classroom. Okay, I put a link in the classroom page. Just try that. So this is directly for that PDF.
Yes, sir. Got the link, sir.
Yeah, but
Yes,
it's a link for the directly for that PDF. So yeah,
yes, sir. So we got the
okay,
PDF, sir.
good.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
exactly at 5:30, you'll get the link in your classroom page. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, through that MCQ quiz, you are going to take our attendance, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, sir.
For today, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, students. So any doubt, or shall we close this session?
So you have sent that email.
Not email, but I
Sir has
provided the link in the
updated at
classroom.
Google Classroom.
But you want it in email? I can do that also.
Sir, it's already in email. When you update anything on Google Classroom, it goes to our
Yeah, it will
email.
be in the automatically goes to
Yes.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, sir. Got it.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Sir,
Up
can we
to
leave the class?
yes, yes, up to Albedo. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.